Every great wrestler I have ever known has done this. They simply put a lot of on their own drill time in. That's what my brother and I did when we were in high school years ago, and both had pretty successful high school careers back in the day. Wrestled at Oklahoma State. He was all national champ. I was All-American, and so I've been around some great wrestlers and many Olympic and world champs that trained at Oklahoma State, and it was non-stop. You could almost go into the Oklahoma State wrestling room at any time, and there was guys in there working out on their own. And my brother and I, we wrestled. We made ourselves drill a minimum of 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Those 20-minute sessions almost always end up being 2-hour sessions. The days we didn't feel like working out, we would go, we always went extra. So, 22 minutes, we would turn the clock off and we were done. But that's all I had hanging over my head every day, right? And there's a phrase called underachieve your way to the top. Do a little bit every day. And if you have a 3-hour workout hanging out over your head, you're probably not going to do anything. You're probably going to sit on the couch, talk yourself out of it, because we're humans and we look for the path of least resistance. So that 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week is kind of a good way to approach it. Then when you don't feel like wrestling, but you drag yourself down on that wrestling mat just because you only have to put in 20 minutes, you get sparked, you get excited, and it can easily, sometimes my brother and I, we would turn the clock off, at the 10-minute mark or so, because we knew we were going to be down there a while. We got into the groove, right? Sometimes we didn't even turn the clock on because we knew it was going to be a 2-hour deal. So 20 minutes a day, we did way more than that, but that's all I required myself. And I think that's great advice. Now, as far as putting on your own drill time, think about this. This is the trap, the working hard trap. And there's videos on here you can find as well. This is my insight on that. We think just because you work hard, I have parents all the time, they call, they're trying to figure out, should they send their kids to our camp? And I say, hey, I have a 3 piece of paper with everything on there that you need to know in order to beat Iowa State. I'm going to make your kid drill it 900 times. I'm going to invite you to come and watch the last practice and show you a final product. That's all we do. They say, well, that sounds tremendous. My kid works so hard. I think that maybe that's what he's lacking. And I go, well, what when you say he works hard, what do you mean? They go, he runs 3 miles a day. And I go, you would take 8 months a year off of the wrestling mat? So the working hard trap says that just because we're putting in time and effort and we're hot and sweaty, 3 or 4 or 5 days a week, that we should have Cale Sanderson calling. That's not true. This is a skill sport. Take your running shoes, throw them in the trash, lift weights twice a week, wrestle 5 days a week, and make yourself better. I hear that no less than 50 times a year leading up to camps is, my son works hard. But I think that's called putting in time and versus putting in productive time. All right? So think about this. If you jump on your knees and you work your best 2 single leg finishes for 45 minutes, when you're done, you're going to feel amazing. You will not have broken a sweat. This is kind of the Oklahoma State approach, and that's where I was trained, right? And my brother and I had this approach as kids too. We never live wrestled because we would fight. All right, it was just brutal fights. So we just got to where we would drill. And we used to have a phrase. We would say, "I'm dangerous. I'm dangerous. I'm going to be the most dangerous guy in the world." And we could feel dangerous by, if I can take your arm and put it behind your back against your will and turn you over, you can't tell me that that's not a powerful thing. My opponents are running 3 miles a day, but they can't put my arm behind my back against my will and turn me. I can them. College coaches called me. College coaches are going to call those guys. Okay? So think about this. What if you spend an hour just working on your number 1 setup to your leg attack? Just that one thing. And then, the next day you come in again and you go, now, when I do this, my number 1 setup, there are 2 options. My opponent reacts 2 different ways. So now I have 2 more shots or attacks based upon my opponent's 2 common ways of defending my elbow pass, let's say. So now I spend an hour cutting them off at the pass, because now I spent another hour on Tuesday working only on those 2 attacks based upon the other 2 ways that they are countering me in live wrestling. So you don't think my confidence is going to soar? Some of us have confidence problems and we're nervous. I say this, if you're nervous before a math test, that's a call to action. If I have to take a addition and subtraction test today, I'm not nervous. I'm 48 years old, right? So I'm not nervous so there's no call to action because there's no reason for me to get my butt in gear. Now, if I had to take a calculus test today, I would be very nervous because I haven't done that in years, right? So I can either lay there in a ball and quiver and cry because I'm nervous, or I can do something about it. I can study, for the next 7 days straight and get ready for that test. Now I'm not nervous, right? I may not know I'm 100% chance I'm going to get 100% on it, but I'm not nervous because I've studied. So if you do want to start training on your own, drilling on your own, think about the positions that make you nervous. Boom, now you have a workout plan. Take that piece of paper, tape it to the wrestling room wall, and get to work. Then tomorrow, do it again, and then do it again. Then you say, well, I'm not nervous anymore on bottom. I'm not nervous anymore when someone tries to attack a cradle. I'm the best cradle counter guy in America. Well, there's another position I want to work on. Maybe I'm not good in the underhook, but I'm familiar there. But I won't use it in a match. So now I'm going to spend the next 2 days drilling my underhook. I have 3 moves from there. I'm going to drill those 1,000 times each. So as far as getting better, I will repeat the fact that every elite wrestler that I've ever been around put a lot of on their own practice time in. I encourage my own kids at our academy. You come to us 2 or 3 days a week, and you take 1 day a week, and you only practice on your own. You don't need to be in my room with Nick Purler or my coaches. You need to be on your own, working your strengths and weaknesses, troubleshooting your wrestling, and making yourself great. So get a home mat, get a good instructional DVDs, come to a good camp where there's a final product, take that practice plan home, tape those 3 pieces of paper on the wall. The camp only ends if you let it end. Don't let the camp end. Drill that camp 3 days a week, and you will be a college wrestler. It's just pretty much guaranteed. The reason it's guaranteed is because your opponents aren't going to do it, because they're working hard running 3 miles a day. Check us out at purlerwrestling.com.